After 2 weeks on Module 5, which there was quite a bit to cover in that module, we're moving on, which ties well together with Module 5 and Chapter 4. We're moving on to look at teens and adulthood in this particular module. You're going to see that the PowerPoint is not as involved as the other, though you have numerous videos to go through. And so this particular situation, you'll see that it would almost be good if you link these between. But you're right before spring break, so you have a number of things to think about within the process. So let's start looking at the PowerPoints, and I'm going to flip us over to that. Um, that basically, as we look at adolescence, we've come off those experiences of childhood. You watch the film of Rocky, of how Rocky Denison, of how he addressed that, obviously commercialized by Hollywood, and I hope that you have pointed that out as you have reviewed the film, but it is true to a number of different things within the story. They leave out a brother, by the way. He had a brother. Um, and his mother continued to be a lifelong biker long after his death. Interesting as we move through. But as far as adolescence, it's when trust is primarily learned through these intense relationships that a mother or other caregiver has with a child. And they really learn how to cope with their disability, move forward, and what goes on with that. So at preschool, they learn sex roles, they gain independence from their mother, they learn to communicate um, in the process, and then they face other developmental tasks that come into place. Children with cognitive and intellectual disabilities often are able to master these tests, um, where children, these tests, it should be tasks as well. And I may change that in the PowerPoint to task, but children with hearing impairments face a lot of issues because of communication. They also face adaptation to society because they don't understand it at the same level. You can see the same thing that can occur related to blindness, but hearing disabilities um, often are even more problematic, or problematic in a different way is the right way to put it. Basically, if families are overprotective, um, they may cause some severe limited ability in the child for them to be independent in later life. So we see the socialization process going on here. Now remember, more children than ever survive with disabilities today due to medical advances. I just was off the phone with a student who had a child born prematurely. The issues of keeping those children alive, we keep more children alive than ever. The smallest, basically a pound, has today been kept alive, where in the past those were not viable births. And so we see increasingly differences. Multiple births cause more disability as well. We have higher rates of uh, CP and other problems that come into place with those with multiple births. So, and we are able to make life better. Even those born with physical disabilities, we are often now able to treat as soon as they are born or before they leave the womb, so that we can limit their disability, but we can also keep them alive for a much longer time period. So as you look at this and you look at the developmental stages that children go through, um, you'll see that they learn to separate from their family. Pretty process oriented, as with every child. And children with disabilities often need to be protected, so that this is not a criticism of families trying to protect their children, but the reality of it is that they need to protect their children, and there's limits of what you can do. And again, thinking about uh, the film Mask makes us go there. So I'm going to let you go through these slides that examine the information from the book, you'll find that there are only 2 interactive sites for you to look at. And those are basically related to transition to adulthood. Finding a partner and moving towards marriage, whether it is, no matter what the type of marriage or relationships is, oftentimes is a process that does not occur for people with long-term disabilities, that are born with disabilities. Now, that may be due to the fact that they cannot interact, but it also is the view, remember, of the fact that people with disabilities in certain societies, especially even today in our own society, may not be even considered as that transition to adulthood, or that they can gain that responsibility and have a spouse in place. Again, multiple Lifetime movies could go up here, or even Hallmark movies, as far as people finding a mate, moving forward, and what to deal with within that process and how to move forward. But even meeting people and having that type of relationship can be very difficult. So the sites I've given you to look at are just to look at how there are sites set up just like for older adults and for everyone else on how to meet a partner as a member of the disabled society. Now let me flip back over to our PowerPoint, our module here, and bring that up into place. You have quite a bit to see because obviously the PowerPoints are not in a great deal of depth. They're a review of your chapter, but you have a very short movie to see real life teens and disabilities, and then just a clip on of teens coping with a learning disability. And then I'm asking you to go view an episode of Switched at Birth. For those of you that don't know this series, it is about, it is based on a true story where children were switched in a hospital at birth and given to the wrong parents. And one of the children ends up with a hearing loss that comes into place. And I'd like you to look at the difference of interaction. She's a very high functioning. Actually, currently, if you go to the most current shows, she's currently in college, aiming for medical school, so she's a pre-med major. But it portrays the issues that teens face in disabilities, and now as a college student. I'm also asking you to look at the older adult in this, that older adults as they move through facing new disability as well as old disability. I have not found a good video on older disabled people. I apologize for that. So as you view Growing Old, it is a 60-minute video. You may want to view that with less intensity than I would ask you to do the other videos. And finally, go to your discussion boards as well. With that, we've moving towards spring break. I will be gone during spring break and traveling with the History Club to Spain and Portugal. And so I will not have contact over spring break time. But I hope that you continue to explore the opportunities that this class gives you to better understand disabilities. Have a great day.